So, good morning everybody. Can you say selamat pagi?
Selamat pagi.
Okay, not for Indonesian. For the Indonesian, you have to say 안녕하세요.
안녕하세요.
Okay. We have very tight time, right? So I only have 30 minutes left now. So please open the PPT. Okay, so we will discuss about sustainable tourism and regional development in response to local depopulation. So I will give you a glance about the sustainable tourism and regional development in Indonesia and Bali area, and also how to respond to the local depopulation. Next. So we have three topics at this moment. So first is sustainable tourism. So this one we have to discuss in order the students could discuss about some areas, to compare some areas between the Republic of Korea and also Indonesia or Bali, and how the sustainable tourism and also how the regional development and about the depopulation, the declining population. So the topic is to discuss about the rural and urban areas. Next. So as you see here, this is the map of Indonesia. Indonesia is very huge. So we have like 700 plus languages. So, and we speak in one language. It's Bahasa Indonesia, like Selamat Pagi. And then we have 700 more languages in its islands. You know, like in Bali, we talk in different languages. In Java is different, Sumatra is different, Kalimantan. So we don't know how their language, but for Java is familiar, so we can catch some words. You know, like Om Swastiastu, it's actually Balinese language. It's from the Sanskrit, Hindi. Because we are in Bali, is minority. As you know that most of Indonesian religion are Muslim. It's almost 80%, and then the rest of that is other religion. And we are only 0.000 something, very minor. And then the islands, we have 70,000 until 80,000 more, and it's 6,000 is inhabited. And the population is more than 280 millions. And we have 38 provinces in Indonesia. And then what about Bali? Bali population is around 4.5 millions, and we have 8 regencies in Bali and 1 city. So you are now in the city of Denpasar. So when you coming to the airport they mention Denpasar, right? So that's why Pak Winoto get lost because he thought that Denpasar is close to the airport. So this is misleading. We have to tell our government that, because it's always misleading. It's actually the Ngurah Rai Airport is in the south of Bali. It's in Kuta. So that's why he is a bit late, because the traffic is the most traffic jam in that area. And we are now in the Denpasar city. So it's different. So do you know what is the airport name? Do you remember? Ngurah Rai. And then what is our university name? And I'm sure from Sanur you will go through Jalan Ngurah Rai also. So bypass Ngurah Rai. So when you come from the airport name is Ngurah Rai, and then you went to your hotel in Sanur Paradise. So you go through bypass Ngurah Rai also, and then you come along here, and then you end up at Universitas Ngurah Rai. So big applause for Universitas Ngurah Rai. So Ngurah Rai is actually the name of the hero in Bali. So he's winning the Bali upon Japan. And then this is the concept of the sustainable tourism from UNWTO, that tourism that takes full account of its current and future economic, social, and environmental impacts, addressing the needs of visitors, the industry, the environment, and host communities. So the key principles of sustainable tourism include environmental sustainability, social and cultural sustainability, economic sustainability, long-term viability, ethical practices, and community involvement. Next. Okay, so this is the international tourist arrival in Bali, not domestic, only international. So from 2014 until 2024. So you can see before the pandemic, we had the tourist arrival, until 6.28 million. And then during the pandemic, it's dropped until 1 million. And 2021 is 0. But it doesn't mean there's no tourists at all. We still have domestic tourists coming to Bali because we are, secluded. They come from by ferry through east of Java, crossing to Bali. And then after pandemic, we are slowly increasing until last year, 2024, we reached more than before pandemic. So, is it a bad or good sign? That's the question, right? Okay, next. So this is the top 10 countries contributing the most tourists coming to Bali in May 2025. Can you see South Korea?
No.
Yeah. So which one is the top 10? So the number 6 after France and before Malaysia. So actually South Korea recorded as a strong increase of 16.09%, rising from April to May. And then, Korea actually, we saw a lot here. You also must see in Sanur, right? So they come to Sanur, Ubud, and I saw a lot when I came to Sanur and sit in the cafe. A lot of Korean coming and so next. So I would like to introduce our philosophy, Balinese philosophy for applying the sustainable tourism. So we have a concept, the name is Trihita Karana. So this is a traditional Balinese philosophy, which means tree is tree. So tree consists of well-being. So when you hear about wellness, so this is, the concept is coming also. And if you see our logo in the left, the yellow one, the university logo, it's called Trihita Karana. So we are using this logo since 1975. And if you see our campus is surrounded by the green belt, so it's actually green campus. You see there is only rice field outside because they could not be built. So this is part of the special regulation also from the government of Bali. And then in this 3 causes of well-being, there are 3 key relationships. We call it parahyangan in Balinese. So it means harmony with God. And then pawongan, harmony with people. And then palmahan, harmony with nature. So we have to do these 3 causes. We have to be good we have to respect the God and the temple. So that's why every tourist who come to Bali need to respect them, because this is our philosophy. We need to respect God, we need to respect the temple. And then we need to respect the people also. That's why Bali is very hospitality. If you build like a second Bali in other islands, I don't think it will work, because our concept and philosophy is different. It depends on ourselves. And then that's how also the community-based tourism applied in Bali. And then the last one is Palemahan, harmony with nature. So there are a lot now in Bali. We have like eco-friendly practices, waste management. Okay, waste management we skip it. And then reforestation and marine conservation. Because we have a big issue now in Bali about the waste management. You can discuss about this also. One of the students, please. Next. Okay, so how is our government in Bali initiative the sustainable tourism? How we apply the sustainable tourism? We have two kinds of initiatives. One is community-based tourism project or CBT. And then the second is cultural preservation efforts. So in the CBT projects, we have like 40 active CBT projects in Bali. I will show you the list. So some villages in Bali in this regency. So the government choose 50 active CBT. So correct me if I'm wrong, Ibu Dewi Diana. So these CBT projects involve local communities in managing and benefiting from tourism activities to their villages. You know, we have like Balinese community and then homestays, village stores, handicraft productions, and sometimes you stay with the locals. So we have this kind of project, and then these CBT projects in Bali have helped to distribute tourism benefits more equitably and supported the preservation of local cultures. And then what about the cultural preservation efforts? So the Bali provincial government has established 13 cultural villages or desa adat. So we have this already chosen by the government of Bali. And then this is across the island, all regencies in Bali. And then this cultural village maintain traditional architectural style, perform regular cultural ceremonies, and after cultural tourism experience of for tourism visitors. Like in Korea, we have you have Hanok village, right? Is it similar like that? So we have also like this preservation area. And then a study by the Center for Sustainable Development Studies found that cultural preservation efforts in Bali have helped to strengthen community identity and resilience against the impact of mass tourism. Next. Okay, so this is the CBT projects in Bali. So there are cultural and village tourism. So they divided into 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 categories. So there are ecotourism, nature-based project, handicrafts and artisan tourism, agricultural, rural tourism, marine, and so this is divided into some area in Bali, some villages. Like for example, we have Trunyan village. So this is very unique village in Kintamani, Bali Regency. So if you have a tour to Batur, Mount Batur and Lake Batur, so this Trunyan village is across to the lake. So what is the unique in Trunyan village? Normally in Bali, we do the cremation ceremony, we will burn the body. But in this Trunyan village, because this is a Balinese, real Balinese village, so they don't burn the body, so they just put it in the ground. Can you imagine? Do you think it will be smell or? Is it smell? No, it is not. Because that's why the name is Tarumanyan. So it's a big tree there and smell very good. So it's covered the smell of the dead body. So if you want to visit Trunyan across the Lake Batur, it's very beautiful area also. So you can see the dead body everywhere. The schools, but they are not scary at all. They are preserved. And then the next Subak Sembung Tabanan. So we have you know, like Jatilwis, Subak. We have like a preservation for our irrigation system in Bali. We call it Subak. So this Subak is a preserve for Balinese. So how our Balinese people doing the farming in the rice field, so they do it with this Subak system. So you can study about that also. And a lot of things you can see, like there are 50 projects in Bali. You can explore later. Next. And then this is the 13th cultural village or Desa Adat that established by the Bali provincial government. So if you see that in some regencies, they put in some, like, okay, so I will give a sample for Desa Adat Penglipuran in Bali. There are a Balinese compound house in there, and they still using the Balinese architecture. So Balinese have a very special architecture and also the rules for its building. So in this village, Desa Adat Penglipuran, you will see all this Balinese compound house, very beautiful. And you can come to the houses and the people still living there. And then you will see how the Balinese living originally. Because now in urban area, everything is already built. The land prices is very high. We could only build a tiny house. So we cannot build like Balinese house need a huge area. So we cannot do this in urban. But in rural, they still can do this. So this also could save for the depopulation between the rural and urban area. Next. Okay, so now we go to regional development. What is the regional development? This is a set of activities and initiatives taken by public, private, and community actors to improve the economic, social, and environmental conditions of places and regions. So for all these public administration students, you must have known that regional development is very important to mapping all the development in its region in every country. But before this law, so we have to look back to the history of Indonesia. So we have 3 orders regime since the Indonesian independence. So Indonesian independence for 80 years this month on 17th of August. So we will be 80 years. So during the old order, so it was the President Sukarno leading. So it's from 1945 into 1966. So after 1966, we have a president who lived for 30 years, President Suharto. So President Suharto has some projects called Repelita. So it's the plan for every 5 years. So this is how began the regional development. But on New Order era, for Suharto era, our form of government country is centralization. So everything managed by the central government. There's no autonomy. And then from 1966 until 1998, so that's the Suharto era. And then after that, there's the reform era. So in this reform era, we are more democratic. And then we have, everything is changed. Also the form of the country. So we have central government, and we also have the autonomous regional government. So this one, that's how the law is coming. So based on after the reform era, and then there's a regional development in Indonesia coming with the law on national development planning system, and the spatial planning, and then the regional government. And what is the concept? So the concept is the decentralization and regional autonomy. So now the regional autonomy have a freedom to manage, to budgeting our own province in order to develop for the development. Also including the sustainable development and integrated regional development. Next. Okay, so this is the map of regional development in Indonesia. We categorize into 4 main regional development. They have A, B, C, and D. And then they put the growth center city. For the A area, it will be in Medan, and then the B area is Jakarta, the C area is Surabaya, and the D area is Makassar. And Bali, do you see Bali? Where is it? So it's regional development, Bali. Which one? C. Yes, C. So we are together with East Java and Bali with the head in Surabaya. Next. Okay, so what is actually the regional development strategies in Indonesia? So we are using the top-down and bottom-up approach. So how we formulating the development policies, and then strategic area development and growth center development. So this is the concept of the regional development in Indonesia. And then the key strategies is including blending top-down and bottom-up approaches to planning, and then focusing on the development of strategic area, and then promoting growth centers to stimulate regional growth. So these strategies are implemented through the coordinated national and regional development plans. Okay, next. So, okay. Now is the next topics. I have to be quick because we have limited time. I want you to discuss more and digging more, about this discussion soon between you and our student. So this is about the local depopulation issue in Indonesia and Bali. I know that we have different problems. We have our fertility rates too high. So people here like to make babies. While in Korea, you have declining population, right? And Korean want to increase this population, then the fertility rates. So because this is different cases, different problems, so let us see what is happening in Indonesia and Bali with the urbanization issues. So many villagers from rural area migrate to major cities. I think this is the same like everywhere in every country, in search of better jobs and livelihoods. And then the second one is this had to lead to decline the population of rural areas, but doesn't mean that they are stop making babies. They still making babies. They just migrate to the cities, and then this will make the carrying capacities of the urban area is getting a lot and over, like in Jakarta. So that's why our government, our president, the previous president want to move the capital from Jakarta to IKN, the new capital in Kalimantan. So that was the idea, because Jakarta is carrying over capacities. And then Bali is also experiencing stress. So with many local residents moving to the pasar or outside of Bali. So I will give you a sample for Badung Regency. Badung is the most huge area in Bali and the most rich area. So here is city in Denpasar, but Pak Winoto stay in Kuta. It's in Badung area. So where is all the tourists there, and where is the hotel? Most of the big hotel are in Nusa Dua and Jimbaran. So that's called Badung Selatan or South of Badung. But then there is a gap between South of Badung and North of Badung, because North of Badung is a rural area. So the government is thinking hard how to balancing between the Badung Utara and Badung Selatan, because Badung Selatan close to the beach and Badung Utara close to the mountain. And then the regions of Badung, they try to make like techno park and then agro park and all for this eco village and agro tourism, because they have a lot of lands and very fertile. And then aging population. So many villages in Indonesia, including in Bali, have an increasingly aging population as young people migrate out. So the old people living in the village, I will ask Pak Ketut, is your parents stay in Denpasar or in the village? See? So they are already, only the old village now stay in the village, the old people, because the youngs want to work in Denpasar or Boyubra, because here they, we are depending on the tourism. Most of people in Bali are working in the tourism areas. And then lack of opportunities of rural areas. So lack of job opportunities, infrastructure and public facilities in rural areas make these regions less attractive for the younger generation. So if they want to go for clubbing, they cannot go to their village. They will go to the city, to Kuta, to Canggu for clubbing. So when they have interest on that, and then they will find a job close to this area, and then they will, meanwhile they could having fun. That's also the problem. And also the malls, right? Everybody wants to go to the malls, and then in the village they don't have any malls, it's far away from the village. So some people like to be slow living, but some people like to have hustle living. We have also facing problems in my village. So I came from the north of Bali, and we are from a farmer family. So there are coffee plantation and clove plantation. You know, clove is 2 meters high. It's very high. And then now the young people don't want to take this job to picking up the cloves, because it have to use the leader to take the clove like a coconut. So when there is no young people want to work anymore in the village, and then we hire people coming from Java, from the other island, to work with us, and we have to pay double, because the local people don't want to do this job anymore. And then the impact of tourism in Bali. So the rapid development of tourism in Bali has attracted many non-Balinese people to come. This is what I said before. So many people from Java or other islands, even in east of Indonesia, coming to Bali to get a job in here. So this could displace or replace the local population from tourism-related jobs. And then changing lifestyle and aspiration. So the younger gen tends to have different aspirations and lifestyles compared to the previous generation. Next. Okay, so what is the impact of the local depopulation? So decline in the local workforce and their contribution to the regional economy. Some of people here for the Balinese, they like to go for the cruise ship for work because it's easier to get money. They even borrow some money, lend some money to get this job. So they could go abroad. Or they go to Australia or Japan and working in the farm area to picking up fruits. So that's the trends now. And then the decreased vitality and sustainability of local communities, especially in preserving traditions and culture. And then challenge in providing public service and infrastructures in rural areas. You know, like the health facilities and then the schools, because all the young generation went to the urban area, and then the school is have a low number of students after that. And then the potential for development disparities between urban and rural areas. And now a lot of doctors and nurses study in Indonesia, but none of them want to take their placement in the rural area, right? Because this is happened. So in the rural area, in the village, they only get like the minimum facilities. So that's the effect. And then how do you want to address this local depopulation? Like we do investment in infrastructure and economic development in rural areas. So we have to build train or buses or public facilities which is reach the rural areas, and then people will come there. The domestic tourists will come in, and then go to the tourist attraction. They might build cafe also, eco village or whatever to create the job opportunities in the rural area. And then empowering the rural communities and increasing their participation in development. And more balanced migration and population relocation policies. Next. Okay. So this is the rural population percentage between Bali and South Korea. I know we cannot compare between the island and the countries, right? But this is the source from the World Bank. So the data highlights the differences in the rural-urban population distribution between the two regions. So with Bali having a relatively higher proportion of its populations living in rural areas compared to South Korea. Next. So this is the economic impact of tourism on local communities, the GDP contribution or job creation. So why I take this is in Bahasa Indonesia. So if you see the job opportunities and the period between the trimester 1 on 2024 and trimester 4 on 2024 and trimester 1 on 2025. Just the bold line is the rate number 20.63, 21.75 and 21.23. So which one is that? Penyediaan akomodasi dan makan minum. So in English, this is an accommodation and restaurants sectors business. That means that everybody mostly work and looking for job for this area, and this area mostly in tourist area. So it's tourism area. Next. So and then we will talk about the fertility rates. So this is the 7 province in Indonesia who has the highest fertility rates between January and June 2024. So you can see the most fertility rates is happen in West Java. So people in West Java like to make babies. So that's why a lot of babies were born in this area. And they don't mention Bali here. So there's Central Java, the third is East Java, and then the Jakarta and Banten, and then North Sumatra, and the list is South Sumatra. And then the population of Bali in 2024 is projected to reach 4.46 million people. So which indicates a growth of approximately 28,000 people or 0.6% compared to the previous year. So this growth reflects the island's ongoing development and attractive as a tourism and economic hub despite challenges such as limited land area and infrastructure pressure. But this fertility rate could impact to negative things. What happens if we have, high fertility rates? Too many people in the island. So it will become mass tourism, lot of waste, and then too many things in the attraction areas. So we have to make more public areas for the local people. That's the solution. So now we are not only thinking about international tourists, but we also need to think about our local people. So we need to have more public spaces for local people, right, Ibu Dewi? So that's why Denpasar already created some places, some parks, so that people could hang out. And also in Sanur area, if you go into the beach of the Sanur area, there's a walking path. Ibu Kim is living in Sanur, right? So you go for a walk every morning to do jogging in the Sanur area. So you can see sunrise in Sanur, and also you can see the Mon Agung, a beautiful view from the Sanur beach. So you have to enjoy this. Wake up earlier, like 5:30, and go to the beach. From your place, from your hotel, just go directly back. And then you will see the sunrise is very beautiful if not rain. Because the sunset is in the south, in Kuta area. Okay, next. So, this is very interesting thing because all this Bali is already new, right? We have Bali family plan. So, if I introduce my name as Nyoman, what does it mean? The third. So for Balinese, they already know that I'm the third from the family. And what about you? What's your name? So Ketut. So Ketut is the fourth of the family. So the eight, multiple. Back again. So we actually only have 4 family plan. First is Putu, Gede or Wayang. And then the second name Made or Kadek. And then the third named Komang and Nyoman, and the 4th child named Ketut. But if you are from a royal family like Pak Chok, there will be an additional title in the front, Chokorda Ketut something. So our family name is in the front, not in the back, because you guys have surname in the back, but we have our surname in the front. So the governor of Bali stated that the population of Bali in 2034 reached 4.4 million people, like I explained before. So this showing a slowing trend and falling below the national average growth rate of 1.04% per year. So additionally, out of 700,000 something elementary, junior high and senior high school students in Bali in 2023, so only 595,000 students or 79% using traditional Balinese names. And then among them, 39% use names such as Putu, Wayang, and Gede. So they make a research on this, the governor of Bali. And then the 36% name Made or Kadek. And then the 18% names Komang or Nyoman. And then the 6% for Ketut. So Pak Ketut, you need to be preserved. We need to be preserved because Nyoman and Ketut is almost gone now. So that's why preserve this Balinese name. And then with only 6% of students and name Ketut and 80% name Nyoman, this is raises cultural concerns. So the government said, if Nyoman and Ketut disappears, we will be scolded by our ancestors. Because in Bali, we are very believing ancestors who giving us blessing. I think in Korea also the same. And then in line with this, and then there's already a regional, Bali Regional Regulation number 4 of 2019 about traditional village and regional regulation number 4 of 2020 on the advancement of Balinese culture, that the governor of Bali announced that starting in 2025, so if you are born a children named Nyoman and Ketut, so the governor will give you incentive. They will give you money. So it's mean like they push you to have children more than 2. But it's actually to control the fertility rate. You know, you cannot be having children more than 4, so that's the maximum. So if you have, because in the past, our ancestor, our parents had like 9 children, 10 children, 6 children. So who has 6 siblings still? Pak Ketut? No, only 4, me also 4. Okay, so you can see, so after this it's already gone all. So I hope we can still preserve the Nyoman and the Ketut in Balinese culture. Okay, I still have 2 minutes. Next. Okay, so this is the conclusions. The sustainable tourism as a tool of revitalization. The CBT initiatives demonstrate how sustainable tourism can generate economic opportunities, preserve culture, heritage, and attract both domestic and international visitors. So these efforts have helped mitigate rural depopulation by creating jobs and fostering pride in local communities. And then there is regional development strategies. South Korea focuses on infrastructure, education, and economic diversification in rural areas provides a strong foundation for growth. However, the integration of sustainable tourism models similar to Bali's could enhance regional attractiveness and slow population decline. And then the last one is to attracting foreigners and retaining youth. Bali's ability to attract foreign tourists and investors highlight the importance of marketing, cultural authenticity, and eco-friendly practices. And while in Korea, adopting similar strategies could not only boost tourism but also encourage young people and foreigners to settle in rural areas, addressing the dual challenges of the population and aging populations. Next. Okay.